She lost faith as a single mom, but the billionaire turned her broken heart into his forever home. The judge asked my 7-year-old daughter a simple question: "Do you want to live with your mother or your father?" What she said next made the entire courtroom go silent. But before I tell you that story, you need to know how we got here. How a spilled coffee, a billionaire's kindness, and my own terrified heart almost destroyed the family we were trying to build. Welcome back to Tales of the Heart, where we bring you emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul. If you're just joining us for the first time, you're welcome to this wonderful big family. We're so glad to have you here. Please make sure to watch till the end, and if today's story moves you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this video with your family and loved ones. Now, let's dive into today's story. The coffee hit the sidewalk before Odessa Whitmore could catch it. She watched the cup explode across the cobblestones of King Street, brown liquid spreading like her life, messy, irreversible, impossible to clean up. Her daughter Zara's hand tightened in hers. "Mama, your coffee?" "It's okay, baby." Odessa's voice came out steadier than she felt. She was 35 years old, standing in downtown Charleston on a Saturday morning in April 2024, and she'd just wasted $4 she didn't have. $4 that could have been milk. Or the late fee she owed the electric company. She bent to pick up the empty cup, and that's when she saw the shoes. Expensive shoes. The kind that cost more than her rent. Italian leather, perfectly polished, attached to legs in tailored charcoal slacks that probably cost more than her car. "Let me get you another one." The voice matched the shoes, smooth, cultured, with that low rumble that made her stomach do something it hadn't done in 4 years. Since before the divorce. Since before she'd learned that princes were just men who left when things got hard. Odessa straightened slowly, her grip on Zara's hand automatic and protective. The man was tall, several inches over 6 feet, with dark blonde hair that looked intentionally disheveled in that way rich men paid stylists to achieve. His eyes were gray-blue, like the Charleston Harbor on a cloudy day, and he was looking at her with something that made her want to run. Concern. Genuine concern, like she was a person who mattered. "That's not necessary," she said, moving Zara slightly behind her. Old habits. For years of single motherhood had taught her that men who looked like this one didn't help women like her without expecting something back. "It's absolutely necessary. I'm the one who bumped you." He smiled, and God help her, there was a dimple. Just one, on the left side. "I was texting while walking. Completely my fault." "You didn't. Please." He gestured toward the coffee shop behind them, Common Ground, where she'd spent her last emergency dollars. "I insist. It's the least I can do for destroying your Saturday morning caffeine." Zara peeked around Odessa's legs. "Mama needs coffee. She's been up since 5. "Zara," Odessa warned softly. But the man was already crouching down, eye level with her daughter. 5 in the morning? That's when I get up too. Early birds, right?" Zara giggled. Actually giggled, the sound so rare these days it made Odessa's chest ache. "I'm Booker," he said, still at Zara's height, but his eyes flicked up to Odessa's. "Booker Whitlock." The name registered dimly. Whitlock. She'd seen it somewhere, billboards, maybe? The business section of the paper she couldn't afford to subscribe to anymore? Odessa. She didn't offer her last name. "This is Zara." Beautiful name. Both of them. He stood, and she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. "So, coffee? I promise I'm not a serial killer. Too much paperwork, not enough free time." The joke was terrible. She almost smiled anyway. "Thank you," she heard herself say. "But really, Mama." Zara tugged her hand. "You said we had to go home after coffee. If you don't get coffee, we went out for nothing." Out of the mouths of babes. Or 7-year-olds who understood money better than any child should have to. Booker's expression shifted, something flickered there, too fast to name. "I'm getting myself another one anyway. Just, let me fix my mistake. Please." There was something in the "please" that undid her. Not arrogance. Not pity. Just humanity. "Okay," Odessa said quietly. "Thank you." Inside Common Ground, the smell of fresh ground coffee beans mixed with the sweetness of baking croissants. Odessa had trained herself not to look at the pastry case anymore. Looking made Zara ask questions. Booker ordered without hesitation. "Large caramel macchiato." He paused, glanced at her. "That's what you had, right?" "I saw the cup." She nodded, startled he'd noticed. "1 large caramel macchiato, 1 black coffee, and..." He looked down at Zara. "What do you like?" "I'm not supposed to have sugar before lunch," Zara recited dutifully. "Hot chocolate with only a little whipped cream?" Booker suggested. "Mostly milk." Very responsible. Zara looked up at Odessa with those big brown eyes, so much like her father's it sometimes hurt. "Can I, Mama?" "Yes, baby." Booker added something else to the order, something Odessa didn't catch, and handed over a black credit card. The kind with no limit. They waited by the pickup counter. Odessa should have felt awkward. She was good at awkward these days, at not fitting in, but Booker kept talking, easy and natural, asking Zara about school and her favorite subjects, listening like her answers actually mattered. Second grade is excellent, he said seriously. That's when math starts getting interesting. You like math? Zara wrinkled her nose. Love it. Numbers always make sense. They don't lie, they don't change their minds. 2 plus 2 is always 4. People should be like that, Zara said. Odessa's heart cracked. 7 years old, and already disappointed by humanity. By her father, who sent a birthday card twice a year if she was lucky. By circumstances that made her mama cry when she thought Zara was asleep. Booker's eyes found Odessa's over Zara's head. That look again, the one that saw too much. Yeah, he said softly. They should be. The barista called out their order. Booker carried everything to a small table by the window overlooking King Street. The sun hit the old buildings just right, making the colors pop, the reds and yellows and blues of the historic storefronts, the green of the trees lining the street. Charleston was beautiful. Odessa had forgotten to notice. He set down a bag with the drinks. What's that? Odessa asked. Oh. Booker pulled out a chocolate croissant and a blueberry muffin. Breakfast. I haven't eaten yet, and I figured. He slid the muffin toward Zara. You can't have hot chocolate without something to eat. It's a rule. What rule? Zara asked, delighted. The Saturday morning rule. Very official. Look it up. Zara giggled again, and Odessa felt something dangerous bloom in her chest. Hope. The kind that got women like her hurt. You didn't have to do this, she said. I wanted to. Booker broke off a piece of his croissant but didn't eat it. So, Odessa, do you live in Charleston? All my life. Born at MUSC. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup, absorbing the warmth. You? Grew up in Connecticut. Moved here 5 years ago for work. He smiled. Best decision I ever made. This city, it has a heartbeat. You can feel it in the streets. He got it. This man in his expensive shoes and his black credit card understood what she loved about Charleston. The way history lived in every brick, the way the air smelled like salt water and pluff mud and jasmine all at once, the way the light turned everything golden at sunset. What do you do? She asked, then immediately regretted it. Too personal. Too interested. I run an investment firm. Whitlock Capital Group. He said it casually, like it wasn't worth mentioning. We focus on sustainable development projects. Boring financial stuff, mostly. Whitlock Capital Group. The name clicked. She'd seen it on the side of buildings, on donation plaques at the library where she took Zara every Wednesday. This man didn't just have money. He had the kind of money that changed cities. What about you? Booker asked. The question she'd been dreading. I'm a photographer, Odessa said. Or I was. I'm between gigs right now. Between gigs. What a pretty way to say unemployed. To say that the studio she'd worked for went under 6 months ago, and every application she'd sent out since had vanished into the void. To say she was 3 months behind on rent and living on credit cards that were almost maxed out. What kind of photography? Portraits, mostly. Weddings, families, newborns. She'd loved it once. Capturing joy, freezing moments people would treasure forever. Now it just reminded her of what she'd lost. I freelance when I can. It wasn't quite a lie. She'd done 2 sessions last month. Barely enough to buy groceries. Zara had demolished half her muffin and was swinging her legs, content. Booker watched her with an expression Odessa couldn't read. Do you have kids? The question slipped out. No. Something crossed his face, regret, maybe. Never married. Came close once, for years ago, but... He shrugged. Timing wasn't right. For years ago. 2020, when Odessa's marriage had imploded, when she'd signed divorce papers with shaking hands while Zara napped in the next room. I was married, she offered. It didn't work out. His loss, Booker said quietly. The words hit her like a physical thing. She looked down at her coffee, blinking hard. Mama's the best, Zara announced. She can fix anything. She fixed my bike and the bathroom sink and my dollhouse when the roof fell off. Sounds like a superhero, Booker said. She is. Odessa felt her throat close. She took a sip of coffee to hide it, perfectly made, sweet and strong and exactly what she needed. They sat there for 20 minutes, maybe more. Booker asked about Zara's favorite books, her opinions on Charleston's parks, whether she preferred the beach or the mountains. He listened to her daughter like she was the most fascinating person in the world. And he kept looking at Odessa. Not the way men usually looked at her, the ones who saw a single mother and assumed desperation. He looked at her like she was a puzzle he wanted to solve. Like she was interesting. It terrified her. Finally, Zara finished her muffin and started getting restless. Mama, can we go to the park now? We're going home, remember? They couldn't afford the gas to drive to Waterfront Park, even though it was Zara's favorite. I could drive you, Booker said. No. The word came out too sharp. Odessa softened it. Thank you, but we're fine. You've done enough. He didn't push. Just nodded, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a business card. Heavy cardstock, cream-colored, embossed lettering. In case you ever want to grab coffee on purpose, he said. Or if you need anything. Anything at all. Odessa took the card. Her fingers brushed his, warm, callous despite the obvious wealth. He worked with his hands somehow. She wondered what that said about him. Thank you for the coffee, she said. And breakfast. Thank you for the company. He smiled at Zara. And for the education on second-grade mathematics. You're welcome. Zara waved as Odessa steered her toward the door. Outside, the April sun was warmer. The spilled coffee on the sidewalk had dried, leaving only a faint stain. Erasable. Forgettable. Odessa glanced back through the window. Booker was still sitting there, watching them leave, that business card burning in her pocket like possibility. She wouldn't call. Women like her didn't call men like that. She had enough complications in her life without adding a billionaire with kind eyes and a dimple that made her forget how to breathe. She absolutely would not call. Booker watched them walk away, the woman with the guarded eyes and the little girl who'd stolen his heart in under 30 seconds. He'd been in Charleston for 5 years. Built an empire here, turned Whitlock Capital Group into a billion-dollar firm, funded half the sustainable development on the East Coast. At 37 years old, he had everything he'd worked for. And he was completely, utterly alone. The engagement 4 years ago had ended badly. Victoria had wanted the lifestyle, not the life. When she'd realized he actually meant it about keeping his parents' foundation running, about giving away as much as he made, about working 70-hour weeks because purpose mattered more than comfort, she'd left. Taken the ring, the apologies, and the last piece of hope he had that someone might want him, not just his bank account. He hadn't felt anything since. Hadn't wanted to. Until a woman dropped coffee on King Street and looked at him like she couldn't decide whether to run or stay. Until her daughter talked about mama fixing bathroom sinks and he'd realized this woman, Odessa, beautiful name, beautiful face, beautiful everything, was barely holding it together. He'd seen it. The frayed edges of her jacket cuff. The way she'd calculated whether she could afford to say yes to coffee. The protective way she'd positioned herself between him and her daughter. The exhaustion in her eyes that said she'd been fighting alone for too long. Booker Whitlock had built his fortune on seeing what others missed, on finding value where nobody else looked. And Odessa Whitmore, with her pride and her resilience and her daughter who believed she could fix anything, was worth more than all of it. His phone buzzed. Sully. Meeting in 30. Where are you? Booker looked at the business card still sitting on the table. He always carried two, had pressed one into Odessa's hand and left one behind. She wouldn't call. He'd seen that decision make itself across her face. Which meant he'd have to find another way. He texted Sully back, on my way. And clear my schedule for next Saturday morning. Why? Booker smiled at his phone, at the empty cups on the table, at the city he'd chosen specifically because it felt like home. I'm going to be busy. Welcome back to Tales of the Heart, where we bring you emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul. If you're just joining us for the first time, you're welcome to this wonderful big family. We're so glad to have you here. Please make sure to watch till the end, and if today's story moves you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this video with your family and loved ones. Now, let's continue. 2 weeks later, on a Saturday morning in late April 2024, Odessa stood in the exact same spot on King Street where she'd spilled her coffee. She hadn't called. The business card sat in her wallet, untouched but not thrown away. She'd looked at it approximately 400 times, running her thumb over the embossed letters, Booker Whitlock, CEO, Whitlock Capital Group. There was a phone number, an email address, an invitation she couldn't accept. Because women like her, 35, broke, with a 7-year-old daughter and a credit score that made landlords laugh, didn't get involved with men like him. That was a story that ended badly. She'd lived enough bad endings. Mama, look. Zara pointed at the window display of a toy store. They have the science kit I wanted. The one that cost $60. The one Odessa had promised for her birthday next month, knowing she'd probably have to break that promise too. I see it, baby. It's really cool. Maybe for my birthday? Zara asked hopefully. Maybe. The lie tasted bitter. Odessa? She turned so fast she almost tripped. Booker Whitlock stood 3 feet away, holding 2 coffee cups and wearing faded jeans that probably cost more than her monthly grocery budget. His smile was cautious, like he wasn't sure she'd remember him. Like she could forget. Booker. Her voice came out steadier than her heartbeat. Hi. He held up the cups. I've been coming here every Saturday. Same time. Just in case. The words landed like a physical touch. He'd been looking for her. For 2 weeks, this billionaire had been buying coffee and hoping. Mr. Booker. Zara launched herself forward, and Odessa's hand shot out automatically, but Booker was already crouching down, setting the cups carefully on a bench. Hey, Zara. How's second grade treating you? We're learning about butterflies. They start as caterpillars and then they build a chrysalis. That's different from a cocoon, that's moths, and then they totally change into something new. She said it all in one breath. It's called metamorphosis. That's amazing. Complete transformation. His eyes flicked up to Odessa's. I believe in that. That people can change into something new. Odessa's stomach flipped. What are you doing here? She asked, then winced. I mean, hoping I'd run into you. He stood, handed her one of the cups. Caramel macchiato. And, he pulled a small cup from his jacket pocket. Hot chocolate with a little whipped cream for the Saturday morning rule. Zara beamed. You remembered. I remember everything important. He wasn't looking at Zara when he said it. Odessa took the coffee because refusing felt impossible. The cup was warm in her hands, and she hadn't had coffee in 5 days. Couldn't justify the expense when Zara needed new shoes. Thank you, she said quietly. You didn't have to. I wanted to. Booker shifted his weight, and she realized he was nervous. This man who probably commanded boardrooms and negotiated million-dollar deals was nervous talking to her. Look, I know this is. I'm not trying to be weird. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Either of you. The honesty stole her breath. I haven't called, she said. I noticed. He smiled, that dimple appearing. Which is why I decided to take matters into my own hands. Very romantic, right? Stalking the same coffee shop for 2 weeks? It's a little stalkerish, she admitted. Fair. But I'm harmless. Ask Sully, my business partner. He'll tell you I'm completely hopeless at anything that doesn't involve spreadsheets and financial projections. Why? The question escaped before she could stop it. Why me? Booker's expression shifted, something raw and real crossing his face. Because you looked at me like I was just a guy who'd ruined your morning. Not like I was a bank account with legs. And because your daughter thinks you're a superhero, and I believe her. Odessa felt her throat tighten. I'm not. You are. His voice was soft but certain. And I'd really like to get to know you better. Both of you. If that's okay. Zara was pulling on Odessa's jacket. Mama, can we? Please. Every rational thought in Odessa's head screamed no. No, because this man was so far out of her league they weren't even playing the same sport. No, because she had nothing to offer him except complications and debt and a life held together with duct tape and prayers. No, because when he realized what a mess she was, he'd leave, and Zara would be heartbroken. But God, she was so tired of being alone. Okay, she heard herself say. Okay. The smile that broke across Booker's face could have powered the whole city. He took them to Waterfront Park. They walked along the promenade, Zara running ahead to the pineapple fountain while Odessa and Booker followed at a slower pace. The April sun sparkled off Charleston Harbor, and the smell of salt water mixed with the sweet scent of blooming jasmine from the nearby gardens. Tell me about you, Booker said. Real things. Not the resume version. Odessa sipped her coffee, buying time. What do you want to know? Everything. Start with, why photography? That was easier. Safe territory. My dad. The words came out soft. He died 3 years ago, 2021, when I was 32. He was a photographer too. Had this old Nikon he'd let me use when I was Zara's age. He said photographs were proof that beautiful moments existed, even when everything else felt hard. He sounds like a wise man. He was. Odessa watched Zara splash her hands in the fountain's edge. He got me through my divorce. Helped with Zara, with bills, with everything. When he died. She stopped, swallowed hard. I lost my safety net. And I've been falling ever since. Booker didn't offer empty platitudes. Just listened, his shoulder occasionally brushing hers as they walked. The studio I worked for closed 6 months ago, she continued, surprising herself with the honesty. I've been freelancing, but it's not enough. I'm 3 months behind on rent. My car barely runs. Zara needs things, clothes, school supplies, experiences that don't cost money we don't have. She laughed, but it came out broken. And I'm telling a complete stranger my entire sob story. I'm sorry. Don't be. Booker stopped walking, turned to face her. I lost my parents when I was 22. Car accident, 2009. I was in my senior year at Yale, and suddenly I was alone with a trust fund and no idea what to do with my life. I'm so sorry. It shaped everything. I built Whitlock Capital Group because I needed purpose. Needed to prove their deaths meant something, that I could take what they left me and make it matter. His eyes were distant, remembering. But money doesn't fill empty apartments. Success doesn't call you on your birthday. And I've spent the last 15 years building an empire that feels hollow without people to share it with. Odessa's heart cracked open. The engagement that didn't work out. Victoria. 4 years ago, in 2020, when I was 33. He shoved his hands in his pockets. She loved the lifestyle. The galas, the penthouse, the private jet. When she realized I actually cared about the foundation my parents started, that I was going to keep working insane hours and giving away half of everything I made, she left. Said I'd never make her a priority. Were you going to? Make her a priority? Booker met her eyes. I thought I was. But looking back, I was in love with the idea of not being alone. Not with her. The honesty was devastating. Odessa understood it bone deep, the loneliness that made you settle, made you accept less than you deserved because less was better than nothing. I was 25 when I married Zara's father, she said. 2014, he was charming and handsome and said all the right things. I thought I was lucky. She watched her daughter dance around the fountain, pure joy. Zara was born in 2017, when I was 28. And he changed. Or maybe he was always that person, and I just didn't want to see it. He resented her. Resented me for being tired, for not being the fun girlfriend anymore. He left when she was 3. The divorce was final in 2020, when I was 31. Does he see her? Birthday cards. Sometimes. He lives in Atlanta now with his new wife. Sends $200 a month when he remembers. Hasn't visited in over a year. Booker's jaw tightened. He's an idiot. Yes. Odessa smiled despite herself. He really is. They walked in silence for a moment, watching Zara. Other families were scattered around the park, couples pushing strollers, kids chasing pigeons, elderly couples holding hands on benches. Normal people living normal lives. Can I ask you something? Booker said. Okay. Why didn't you call? The truth. Odessa stopped walking. The fountain splashed behind them, and somewhere a street musician played guitar, and the whole city felt alive around them. Because I'm scared, she admitted. Because men like you don't end up with women like me in real life. Because I have a daughter who's already been abandoned by one man, and I can't let her get attached to someone who's going to leave when things get complicated. And because, her voice cracked. Because I really, really wanted to call. And that terrified me most of all. Booker's hand found hers. Just held it, his fingers warm and solid and real. I'm scared too, he said quietly. I'm 37 years old, and I haven't let anyone close in 4 years. I work 80-hour weeks because it's easier than going home to an empty house. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes, and I can't remember the last time I laughed like I did 2 weeks ago when Zara explained the Saturday morning rule to me like I was a very slow student. Odessa laughed through the tightness in her chest. I don't know what this is, Booker continued. But I know I want to find out. And I know I'm not going anywhere. I don't run when things get complicated. I'm not him. The words settled into her bones, warm and terrifying and impossible to ignore. Mama. Mr. Booker. Come see. Zara was waving frantically from the other side of the fountain. They walked over together, still holding hands. Zara pointed at something in the water, a small turtle, swimming lazy circles. He's lost, Zara declared. Turtles don't live in fountains. Maybe he's just visiting, Booker suggested. Seeing something new. Maybe. Zara watched the turtle thoughtfully. Mama says sometimes you have to try new things even if they're scary. Your mama is very smart. Zara grinned up at him. Are you going to be Mama's boyfriend? Zara. Odessa wanted the fountain to swallow her whole. But Booker just crouched down, serious. Would that be okay with you? If I took your mama on dates and spent time with both of you? Zara considered this with the gravity of a Supreme Court justice. Will you be nice to her? The nicest. Will you make her laugh? She doesn't laugh enough. Booker glanced up at Odessa. I'll do my best. Okay then. Zara nodded decisively. You can be her boyfriend. But if you're mean, I know karate. You know karate? Booker sounded impressed. No. But I could learn. He laughed, deep and real and surprised. Deal. You learn karate, and I'll be on my best behavior. They stayed at the park for 2 hours. Booker bought them lunch from a food truck, shrimp and grits that tasted like heaven, and didn't blink when Zara spilled lemonade on his expensive jeans. He asked about her butterfly project and listened like metamorphosis was the most fascinating subject in the world. And he kept looking at Odessa like she was something precious. Like she mattered. When the sun started lowering, turning the harbor gold, Booker walked them to Odessa's car. She'd parked 6 blocks away, free parking, even though the walk was long. He didn't comment on the rust spots or the duct tape holding the side mirror on. Can I see you again? He asked. A real date. Just us. I'll arrange a sitter, someone vetted, with references, whatever makes you comfortable. I can't afford. My treat. All of it. Please, Odessa. Let me do this. She should say no. Should protect herself and Zara from the inevitable heartbreak. Friday night, she heard herself say instead. His smile could have lit the whole city. Friday night. I'll pick you up at 7. You don't know where I live. Text me the address. He squeezed her hand. You still have my card, right? Yes. Good. He bent down, hugged Zara goodbye, then straightened and looked at Odessa with those gray-blue eyes that saw too much. I'm really glad you spilled that coffee. Me too, she whispered. She drove home with Zara chattering about turtles and fountains and Mr. Booker's laugh, and for the first time in 3 years, since her father died in 2021, since everything fell apart, Odessa let herself hope. Maybe metamorphosis was real. Maybe people really could transform into something new. Maybe broken things could be fixed after all. Friday couldn't come fast enough. Welcome back to Tales of the Heart, where we bring you emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul. If you're just joining us for the first time, you're welcome to this wonderful big family. We're so glad to have you here. Please make sure to watch till the end, and if today's story moves you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this video with your family and loved ones. Now, let's continue. Friday, May 3rd, 2024. 6:45 p.m. Odessa stood in front of her bathroom mirror, trying to make a 5-year-old dress look like something a woman dating a billionaire should wear. The black fabric was fine, classic, her friend Naomi had said when she'd helped pick it out for a wedding back in 2019. But the zipper stuck halfway up, and there was a small stain near the hem she tried to hide with strategic ironing. She looked like exactly what she was, a 35-year-old single mother playing dress-up. Mama, you look beautiful. Zara sat on the closed toilet lid, swinging her legs. She wore her favorite pajamas, the ones with stars that were getting too small but still fit if Odessa didn't look too closely. Thank you, baby. Odessa applied lipstick with shaking hands. The tube was almost empty. She'd been making it last for 8 months. A knock on the apartment door made her heart jump. 7 o'clock. Exactly on time. She walked through the tiny living room of her apartment, 850 square feet on the 3rd floor of a building that had seen better decades. The carpet was worn, the walls were thin enough to hear the neighbors arguing, and the air conditioning only worked when it felt like it. But it was home. Or it had been, before the eviction notice. The notice she hadn't told Booker about. The one taped to her door 3 days ago, giving her until the end of May to come up with 3 months back rent plus late fees. $4,200 she didn't have. Odessa opened the door. Booker stood in the dim hallway wearing a navy suit that probably cost more than her car, holding flowers, white roses mixed with something purple she couldn't name. He looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine. She looked like she was trying too hard. But his face when he saw her. God, the way he looked at her made her feel beautiful anyway. Wow, he said softly. You're stunning. You're a liar, but thank you. She took the flowers, their scent filling the small space. Come in. I just need to grab my purse. Booker stepped inside, and she watched his eyes take in everything, the sagging couch with the blanket thrown over the worst stain, the kitchen table with the wobbly leg propped up with folded cardboard, the stack of bills on the counter she'd forgotten to hide. The eviction notice on the door she'd definitely forgotten to hide. His expression didn't change. Didn't show pity or judgment or shock. But she saw the moment his gaze caught on that notice. Saw the slight tension in his shoulders. Mr. Booker. Zara ran out from the hallway. You're here. Hey, Zara. He crouched down, suddenly all smiles. You ready for your special babysitter? On cue, another knock sounded. Odessa opened it to find a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and an actual binder of references. Patricia Miller, the woman introduced herself. But everyone calls me Miss Patty. Mr. Whitlock hired me through the best childcare agency in Charleston. Of course he had. Odessa let Miss Patty in, went through the standard questions even though the woman was clearly more qualified than anyone Odessa could have afforded. Booker had thought of everything, snacks, emergency contacts, his personal cell number highlighted. 20 minutes later, with Zara happily showing Miss Patty her butterfly project, Booker guided Odessa out to his car. Not a car. A Tesla. Sleek and black and worth more than she'd make in 2 years. He opened her door. She slid in, feeling the leather seats, the new car smell, the dashboard that looked like a spaceship. This was his world. Chrome and leather and technology that cost more than her annual income. They drove through Charleston as the sun set, turning the historic buildings gold and pink. Booker navigated the cobblestone streets with easy familiarity, asking about her week, telling her about a project in North Charleston that was driving him crazy. He was trying to put her at ease. It was working and not working simultaneously. Where are we going? She asked. Magnolia Plantation. They do private evening tours. He glanced at her, that dimple appearing. I remembered you said you love gardens. That your dad used to take you to photograph flowers. Her heart stuttered. He'd remembered that? From one conversation 2 weeks ago? Booker, you didn't have to. I wanted to. Those 3 words again. The ones that were becoming dangerous. Magnolia Plantation after hours was something from a dream. The garden sprawled across acres, the famous Ashley River reflecting the sunset in shades of amber and rose. Their private guide, a woman named Helen who clearly knew Booker from previous donations, led them through paths lined with azaleas and camellias, past the swamp gardens where cypress trees grew from dark water. Booker had arranged for a photographer. Professional, with equipment that made Odessa's chest ache with longing. For you, he said. So you don't have to worry about capturing it. Just experience it. She wanted to cry. Or kiss him. Or both. They walked through the gardens as dusk deepened into twilight. Fireflies started appearing, tiny sparks of light among the flowers. Helen explained the history. The plantation dated back to the 1670s, had survived wars and hurricanes and centuries of change. Things that last, Booker said quietly, his hand finding Odessa's, they survive because they're worth fighting for. Was he talking about the plantation? Or them? Helen left them alone by the Ashley River, the water lapping softly against the bank. The photographer had disappeared too, giving them privacy or getting different angles. Odessa wasn't sure. This is incredible, she whispered. Thank you. There's more. Booker pulled out his phone, tapped something. Music started playing from hidden speakers, something soft and jazzy, a saxophone that sounded like moonlight felt. Dance with me, he said. Here. So she did. Let him pull her close on the riverbank, his hand warm on her waist, her head fitting perfectly against his shoulder. They swayed to music that seemed designed for this exact moment, and Odessa felt something inside her crack open, the part she'd kept locked since the divorce, since her father's death, since life had taught her that hope was dangerous. I need to tell you something, Booker said against her hair. Her stomach dropped. Here it came. The catch. The moment he admitted this was charity, or a bet, or whatever rich men did for entertainment. I saw the eviction notice. Odessa pulled back, tried to step away, but he held her gently in place. I'm handling it, she said, the lie automatic. Odessa. I don't need rescuing. I just need time. I have some jobs lined up, and I'm working on. Let me help. No. The word came out sharp. This is exactly why I didn't call you. I don't need a white knight. Her voice broke. I can't be your charity case, Booker. I can't. You think that's what this is? He cupped her face, made her look at him. You think I planned this entire evening because I pity you? Don't you? I did this because I'm falling for you. The words hung in the humid air between them. Because in the 3 weeks since I met you, you're all I think about. Because Zara makes me laugh, and you make me want things I stopped believing in. And yes, I saw the notice. Yes, I want to help. Not because you're charity, but because the thought of you and Zara losing your home makes me physically ill. Tears burned in Odessa's eyes. I can't let you pay my rent, Booker. What does that make me? Smart? He smiled sadly. Someone willing to accept help? Odessa, I have more money than I know what to do with. $4,000 is what I spend on a business lunch. Let me. And then what? She pulled away now, wrapping her arms around herself. You pay my rent this month, next month, the month after? I become your kept woman? What happens when you get tired of this? When the novelty of dating a struggling single mother wears off and you realize there are thousands of women out there who don't come with eviction notices and 7-year-olds and cars held together with duct tape. That's not going to happen. You don't know that. The words exploded out. You don't know me. Not really. This is week 3, Booker. 3 weeks. People don't fall in love in 3 weeks. They fall in lust, or infatuation, or, she was crying now, couldn't stop. I can't do this. I can't let Zara get attached to you, can't let myself imagine a future that doesn't exist. Because when you leave, I'm not leaving. Everyone leaves. The truth she'd been holding back ripped free. My husband left. My dad died. Every person I've ever counted on has disappeared, and I can't survive you doing it too. I won't. Booker reached for her, but she stepped back, the river behind her, tears streaming down her face. I should go home, she whispered. This was a mistake. Odessa, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're wonderful, and you deserve someone who isn't this broken, who doesn't come with so much baggage, who can accept help without feeling like she's prostituting herself. Stop. His voice was firm now. Stop putting words in my mouth and feelings in my head. You want to know what I see when I look at you? I see a woman who works herself to exhaustion for her daughter. Who fixes bathroom sinks and busted bikes because she refuses to let Zara see her struggle. Who apologizes for needing help like it's a character flaw instead of proof that you're human. Booker. I see someone worth fighting for. Worth waiting for. And if you need to push me away right now because you're scared, okay. I get it. But don't tell me what I feel. Don't tell me this is novelty or charity or anything other than what it is. Which is what? She needed to hear him say it. The best thing that's happened to me in years. His voice cracked. Maybe ever. The words broke something in her. Or fixed something. She couldn't tell which. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. I don't know how to do this. How to let someone in. Neither do I. He took a cautious step forward. But I want to learn. With you. Odessa looked at this man, 37 years old, billionaire, CEO, someone who could have anyone, choosing her. Seeing her. Not trying to fix her, just asking to stand beside her while she fixed herself. The rent, she said slowly. If you pay it, I need to pay you back. Every penny. It can't be a gift. Okay. I'm serious, Booker. I need a contract. Terms. Interest if you want it. This has to be a loan. Whatever you need. And we go slow. No moving in together, no big gestures that scare me, no. He kissed her. Soft and gentle and tasting like hope. His hands framed her face like she was something precious, and Odessa felt herself melt into it, into him, into the possibility that maybe, this could be real. When they pulled apart, she was crying again, but different. Better. Slow, Booker murmured against her lips. I can do slow. Okay. But I'm still paying that rent. As a loan. With a contract. Whatever makes you comfortable. Okay, she whispered. They stood there by the Ashley River as full dark settled in, fireflies dancing around them like tiny stars, and Odessa let herself believe, just for a moment, that broken things could be fixed. That maybe she was worth fighting for after all. The photographer had caught everything. Later, when Odessa saw the images, she'd barely recognize herself, this woman who looked fragile and strong simultaneously, whose tears looked like diamonds, who was being held by a man who looked at her like she hung the moon. But that was later. Right now, Booker called for the car, and they drove back to her apartment in comfortable silence, his hand holding hers. Miss Patty reported that Zara had been perfect, had gone to bed at 8:30 after reading 3 chapters of her butterfly book. Booker paid her double the agreed rate, walked her to her car. When he came back, Odessa was standing in her doorway. Thank you, she said. For everything. For seeing me. For not running. Thank you for letting me try. He kissed her forehead. I'll have my lawyer draw up the loan paperwork. You'll have the money by Monday. Booker. It's not charity. It's an investment. He smiled. In us. She watched him walk down the hallway, waited until he disappeared into the stairwell before closing her door. The eviction notice stared at her from where it hung. In 3 weeks, this man had appeared in her life like magic, offered her everything she needed, and asked for nothing but a chance. It terrified her. Odessa pulled out her phone, texted her best friend Naomi, I think I'm falling in love with him. What do I do? The response came immediately, let yourself fall, babe. Sometimes the scariest thing is also the rightest thing. But as Odessa lay in bed that night, replaying the kiss by the river, she couldn't shake the feeling that the other shoe was about to drop. That happiness this big couldn't possibly last. That she was setting herself up for the biggest heartbreak of her life. She had no idea how right she was. Welcome back to Tales of the Heart, where we bring you emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul. If you're just joining us for the first time, you're welcome to this wonderful big family. We're so glad to have you here. Please make sure to watch till the end, and if today's story moves you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this video with your family and loved ones. Now, let's continue. August 15, 2024. 4 months after the coffee shop. 3 months after the first kiss. Odessa sat in the waiting room of Charleston County Family Court, her hands shaking so badly she had to clasp them together. Her ex-husband wanted custody of Zara. The papers had arrived yesterday. 14 pages of legal jargon that boiled down to Marcus Whitmore, father, petitions for full custody of Zara Whitmore, age 7, on the grounds that the mother is financially unstable and living beyond her means with assistance from an unrelated male. Unrelated male. They meant Booker. Her phone buzzed. Booker, for the 3rd time in an hour, where are you? I can help. Please let me help. She'd stopped answering after the first text. What was she supposed to say? That her ex-husband, who'd sent exactly 4 birthday cards in 4 years, suddenly wanted custody because he'd seen photos on social media? Photos of Zara at expensive restaurants, at Magnolia Plantation, on Booker's boat in Charleston Harbor? That Marcus's lawyer was arguing she was prostituting herself, using Booker's money, providing an unstable environment? The loan had saved her apartment. Booker had hired her to photograph 3 corporate events, paid her triple the going rate, legitimate work, but Marcus's lawyer was twisting it into something ugly. And the rest, the dinners, the weekend trips, the private school Booker had offered to pay for that Odessa had refused. It all looked exactly like what Marcus was claiming. Ms. Whitmore? A bailiff appeared. The judge will see you now. Odessa stood on legs that felt like water. Her court-appointed lawyer, a tired woman named Sandra Chen who handled 20 cases like this a week, gave her an encouraging nod that felt hollow. Inside the courtroom, Marcus sat with his expensive lawyer, looking respectable in a suit Odessa knew his new wife had picked out. He was 40 years old now, worked in pharmaceutical sales, made good money. On paper, he looked stable. She looked like a struggling single mother sleeping with a rich man. The hearing lasted 2 hours. Marcus's lawyer painted a picture of instability, the eviction notice, how did he know about that, her sporadic employment, her relationship with a wealthy older man that exposed Zara to an inappropriate lifestyle. Booker was 37, 2 years older than Odessa. They made it sound predatory. Sandra fought back with the truth. Marcus had been absent for years, hadn't asked for more custody, hadn't increased child support. This was about control, not Zara's well-being. But truth didn't always matter in family court. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, reviewed the documents. Looked at Odessa. Looked at Marcus. I'm ordering a home evaluation and a psychological assessment, she said finally. We'll reconvene in 6 weeks. Until then, current custody arrangement stands. 6 weeks. 6 weeks of investigations and interviews and strangers judging whether she was a fit mother. Because she'd let herself fall in love. Odessa made it to her car before the panic attack hit. Her hands shook. Her chest tightened. The parking garage spun, and she couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't. Her phone rang. Booker's name lit up the screen. She answered without thinking. Hello? Odessa. Thank God. Where are you? What's happening? Naomi called me, said something about court? Of course Naomi had called him. Her best friend, 36 years old and fiercely protective, who'd watched Zara this morning and promised not to say anything. I can't, Odessa's voice broke. I can't talk right now. Tell me where you are. I'm coming to get you. No. Booker, no. You being here makes it worse. Silence. Then, makes what worse? Odessa, you're scaring me. Marcus is suing for custody. The words felt like glass. And he's using you, us, as evidence that I'm an unfit mother. She heard his sharp intake of breath. What? There are photos. Social media. Zara at restaurants we could never afford. On your boat. He's saying I'm using you for money, exposing Zara to an unstable relationship, prostituting myself, a sob caught in her throat. And he's right. Not about the prostitution, but the rest. I am using your money. The loan, the jobs you created for me, everything. It all looks exactly like what he's saying. That's insane. We're in a relationship. Couples help each other. We've known each other 4 months, Booker. 4 months, and you've paid my rent, hired me for jobs that didn't exist, taken us places I could never afford. What does that look like to a family court judge? It looks like I'm helping the woman I love. The words hit like a physical blow. He'd said it. The thing they'd been dancing around since that first kiss in May. But he'd never said it out loud until now, and the timing was so wrong it hurt. Don't, Odessa whispered. Please don't say that right now. Why? Because it's true? Because I'm in love with you, and I'm in love with Zara, and the thought of that bastard taking her away makes me want to. His voice cracked. Tell me what to do. I'll fix this. You can't fix this. That's the problem. You fix everything, my rent, my car, my jobs, my entire life, and I let you because I was so desperate and so tired and so stupidly in love with you that I didn't think about how it would look. She heard him breathing on the other end. When he spoke again, his voice was careful. What are you saying? I'm saying I need to step back. From us. From you. Until the custody hearing is resolved. No. Flat. Absolute. No, Odessa. We'll fight this together. Together is the problem. She was crying now, hot tears streaming down her face in the parking garage where anyone could see. The judge ordered a home evaluation. They're going to interview Zara. Ask about you, about our relationship, about whether she's been exposed to anything inappropriate. And every answer that includes you makes Marcus's case stronger. So what? I'm supposed to just disappear? Pretend the last 4 months didn't happen? Yes. The word tasted like poison. For 6 weeks. Until the hearing. I need to prove I'm stable on my own, that I don't need you, that Zara's life doesn't revolve around your money. Her life doesn't revolve around my money. It revolves around us, the 3 of us together. To you. To me. But to the court? Odessa wiped her eyes, tried to steady her voice. I'm a 35-year-old single mother who was about to be evicted until a billionaire swooped in. That's not a love story to them. It's a cautionary tale. Silence. Long and painful. You're ending this, Booker said quietly. You're using the hearing as an excuse to run. I'm protecting my daughter. You're protecting yourself. From getting hurt. From trusting that this is real. His voice hardened. I've been patient, Odessa. I've gone slow, signed your loan papers, backed off every time you got scared. But this? Pushing me away the second things get hard? That's not protecting Zara. That's protecting you. The words cut deep because they were partially true. Maybe it's both, she said. Maybe I am scared. Maybe I don't know how to trust this. But it doesn't change the fact that my ex-husband is trying to take my daughter, and you being in our lives gives him ammunition. Then we fight him. Together. We get lawyers, real lawyers, not court-appointed, and we show the judge that I'm not some predator. That we're building something real. With what money, Booker? Oh wait, yours. Which proves Marcus's point. So I'm damned either way? I help you, I'm buying you. I don't help, I don't care. Yes. The word echoed in the concrete structure. Yes, that's exactly the impossible situation we're in. And I hate it. I hate that loving you puts Zara at risk. I hate that accepting your help makes me look like a gold digger. I hate all of it. But you're choosing her over us. She's my daughter. Odessa's voice broke. She's 7 years old, Booker. 7. And she didn't ask for any of this, not the divorce, not the poverty, not you. And if there's even a chance that being with you could cost me custody, then yes. I choose her. Every single time. She heard him breathing. Heard something that might have been a sob, quickly stifled. 6 weeks, he said finally. You want 6 weeks of space? Yes. And then what? We magically pick up where we left off? Pretend this didn't happen. I don't know. It was the most honest thing she'd said. I don't know if we survive this. I just know I have to try to keep my daughter. More silence. Okay, Booker said. His voice was flat, empty. Okay. I'll stay away. No calls, no texts, no showing up at your apartment. You want to do this alone, you can do it alone. Booker. I love you, Odessa. I love Zara. And I would never, never, do anything to hurt either of you. But if you can't see that, if you honestly think I'm just some rich guy playing savior, then maybe you're right. Maybe we don't survive this. The line went dead. Odessa sat in her car, phone in shaking hands, and sobbed until she had nothing left. 6 weeks. August bled into September. The home evaluator came, a stern woman who inspected every corner of the apartment, asked invasive questions, took notes that would determine Odessa's future. Zara asked about Booker every day for the first week. Why doesn't Mr. Booker come over anymore? He's busy with work, baby. Is he mad at us? No. Never. Did we do something wrong? No, sweetheart. You're perfect. But the questions killed her. Watching Zara's face fall, watching her daughter lose another person who'd mattered, it confirmed every fear Odessa had about letting Booker into their lives. People left. Everyone left. Naomi came over on a Friday night in mid-September, brought wine and fury. You're an idiot, her best friend announced, pouring them both generous glasses. A certified, grade A idiot. Thanks. Appreciate the support. I'm serious, Dessa. That man loves you. Actually loves you. And you're throwing it away because you're scared. I'm protecting Zara. From what? From having a father figure who actually shows up? From being happy? Naomi, 36 and child-free by choice, had never pulled punches. Marcus is using Booker as an excuse. If it wasn't him, it'd be something else. Your apartment, your job, your hair color. Abusers always find an angle. He wasn't abusive. Just absent. Emotional abandonment is abuse. And now he's weaponizing the courts because his ego can't handle you being happy. Naomi leaned forward. The evaluator's report is going to say you're a great mother. You know it, I know it. This whole custody thing is Marcus flexing. He doesn't actually want Zara. He wants control. You don't know that. Yes, I do. And so do you. Naomi softened. But you're using it as an excuse to push Booker away before he can leave on his own. Because in your mind, everyone leaves. Odessa's eyes burned. You don't understand. Your dad died, Odessa. He didn't leave. There's a difference. The words landed like a punch. Don't. Someone has to say it. You've been treating every relationship like it's temporary since he passed in 2021. 3 years of keeping everyone at arm's length because if you don't let them close, it doesn't hurt when they go. Naomi grabbed her hand. But Booker isn't going anywhere. He's been radio silent for 3 weeks, and you know what he did? Called me. Asked if you and Zara were okay. Asked if you needed anything. Told me to send him the bills for Zara's school supplies because he knows you won't. Odessa's throat closed. He what? He loves you, you stubborn disaster. And you love him. And you're both miserable because you're too scared to fight for it. The hearing is in 3 weeks. September 28th. And whether Booker's in the picture or not, you're going to win. Because you're Zara's mother, and you've been showing up for 7 years while Marcus sends birthday cards when he remembers. Naomi squeezed her hand. So the question is, when you win, and you will win, do you want to celebrate alone? Or with a man who's been waiting in the wings, respecting your boundaries, loving you from a distance because you asked him to? Odessa wiped her eyes. What if I lose? Then you appeal. And you fight. And Booker will be right there, hiring the best lawyers money can buy, because that's what people who love you do. Naomi's voice gentled. Stop punishing yourself for needing help. Stop punishing him for wanting to give it. That night, after Naomi left, Odessa pulled out her phone. Scrolled through weeks of unsent messages. Booker hadn't texted. Hadn't called. Had respected her request for space even though it was killing them both. She typed, I'm sorry. Stared at it for 10 minutes. Deleted it. Typed, I miss you. Deleted that too. Finally settled on, hearing is September 28th, 10 a.m. If you want to be there. Her finger hovered over send. What if he said no? What if 3 weeks of silence had made him realize she wasn't worth the trouble? What if she'd pushed him away one too many times? What if Naomi was right, and she was sabotaging the best thing that had ever happened to her because she was terrified of being happy? Odessa closed her eyes. Thought of Booker's smile. His dimple. The way he listened to Zara like she was the most important person alive. The way he looked at Odessa like she hung the stars. The way he'd said, I love you, right before she'd broken both their hearts. She hit send. Then she waited. September 27th, 2024. The night before the hearing. Odessa's phone buzzed at 11 p.m. I'll be there. Front row. B. She read the message 17 times before falling asleep, phone clutched in her hand, hope and terror warring in her chest. Tomorrow would determine everything. Tomorrow she'd fight for her daughter. And maybe, for a second chance at love. If it wasn't already too late. Welcome back to Tales of the Heart, where we bring you emotional and heart-touching stories that speak to the soul. If you're just joining us for the first time, you're welcome to this wonderful big family. We're so glad to have you here. Please make sure to watch till the end, and if today's story moves you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this video with your family and loved ones. Now, let's continue. September 28th, 2024. 9:47 a.m. Odessa sat on the courthouse steps, trying to remember how to breathe. In 13 minutes, she'd walk into that courtroom and fight for her daughter. The home evaluation report had come back favorable. The evaluator had called her dedicated, resourceful, and deeply committed to her child's well-being. But Marcus's lawyer was vicious, and family court was unpredictable, and Odessa's entire world balanced on the decision of one judge. Mama? She turned. Naomi stood there with Zara, who wasn't supposed to be here. The judge had said she might want to speak with Zara, but later, in chambers, not. I know. Naomi held up a hand. But she insisted. And before you argue, just listen to her. Zara stepped forward in her Sunday dress, the blue one that used to be too big, now fitting perfectly because 7-year-olds grew impossibly fast. She held a folded piece of paper. I wrote something, Zara said. For the judge. Miss Naomi helped me spell the big words. Baby, you don't have to. I want to. Those brown eyes, so serious. You always fight for me, Mama. Now I fight for you. Odessa's heart cracked open. She took the paper with shaking hands, unfolded it. Dear Judge. My name is Zara Whitmore and I am 7 years old. My dad wants me to live with him but I want to stay with my mama. Here's why. Mama makes my lunch every day with notes that say I'm smart and brave. Dad forgot my birthday last year. Mama taught me to ride my bike and fixed it when it broke. Dad doesn't know what color my bike is. Mama reads to me every night even when she's tired. Dad hasn't read me a story since I was 3. Mama has a boyfriend named Mr. Booker. Dad says that's bad but it's not. Mr. Booker is nice. He listens when I talk about butterflies and he makes Mama laugh. She didn't laugh for a long time after Grandpa died. Mr. Booker brought the laughing back. Dad says Mama needs Mr. Booker's money but that's not true. Mama needs Mr. Booker's heart. And he needs ours. Please let me stay with my mama. She's my best friend. Love, Zara. Odessa couldn't see through the tears. She pulled Zara into her arms, held her daughter close, and felt 7 years of fear and exhaustion and desperate love pour out. You're my best friend too, baby, she whispered. Forever and always. Ms. Whitmore? Sandra Chen, her lawyer, appeared at the top of the steps. We need to, she stopped, seeing the moment. 2 minutes. Then we have to go in. Naomi took Zara's hand. I'll keep her out here. You go in. Odessa kissed her daughter's forehead, straightened her shoulders, and walked into the courthouse. The courtroom was small. Marcus sat with his lawyer, looking confident. Sandra sat at the other table, organizing files. And in the front row, exactly where he'd promised, sat Booker Whitlock. Their eyes met. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept in weeks. His suit was perfect, his posture straight, but his eyes? God, his eyes looked as broken as she felt. I'm sorry, she mouthed. Win first, he mouthed back. We'll talk after. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Rivera took her seat, reviewed the files, and looked at both parties. This is a modification of custody hearing, she began. Mr. Marcus Whitmore is petitioning for full custody of his daughter, Zara, age 7, currently in the primary custody of her mother, Ms. Odessa Whitmore. Marcus's lawyer stood, launched into the same arguments from before. Financial instability. Questionable relationship. Inappropriate lifestyle. He made Odessa sound like a negligent mother living off a man's charity. Sandra countered with facts. For years of Marcus's absence. Sporadic child support. 0 requests for increased custody until now. The favorable home evaluation. Character witnesses, Naomi, Zara's teacher, their pastor from the church. Odessa took Zara to every Sunday. Then Marcus's lawyer called his witness. We'd like to call Mr. Booker Whitlock to the stand. Odessa's stomach dropped. No. They couldn't. But Booker was already standing, walking to the witness stand, being sworn in. He sat with that same calm confidence he brought to boardrooms, but his hands gripped the armrests. Mr. Whitlock, Marcus's lawyer began, circling like a shark. You're in a relationship with Ms. Whitmore, correct? Yes. How long have you known her? 5 months. We met on April 6, 2024. And in those 5 months, you've provided significant financial assistance to her, haven't you? I've provided a loan, which she's repaying. And I've hired her for legitimate photography work. Legitimate. The lawyer smiled. Photography work that didn't exist before you met her? Photography work that my company needed. Ms. Whitmore is an exceptional photographer. And the dinners? The trips? The private school you offered to fund? Dinners that couples typically share. 1 weekend trip to Kiowa Island. And I offered to help with school tuition, an offer Ms. Whitmore declined because she insists on maintaining her independence. The lawyer's eyebrows rose. She declined? Yes. Multiple times. Ms. Whitmore is one of the most independent, proud, stubborn people I've ever met. Booker's voice softened. She doesn't want my money. She never has. Then what does she want, Mr. Whitlock? Objection, Sandra called. Relevance? I'll allow it, Judge Rivera said. Answer the question, Mr. Whitlock. Booker looked directly at Odessa. She wants to build a life on her own terms. She wants to be a good mother. She wants to protect her daughter from being hurt. His voice cracked slightly. And she wants to trust that love is real, even though life has taught her not to. The courtroom was silent. Marcus's lawyer recovered. Isn't it true that Ms. Whitmore was facing eviction when you met her? Yes. And you paid her rent? I provided a loan with a formal contract, interest, and repayment terms that she's meeting every month. How convenient. A billionaire boyfriend appearing exactly when she needed money. Objection. Sandra was on her feet. Counsel is testifying. Sustained. Move on, counselor. But the damage was done. The implication hung in the air, gold digger, opportunist, bad mother. Marcus's lawyer smiled. No further questions. Sandra stood for redirect. Mr. Whitlock, in the 5 months you've known Ms. Whitmore, how many times have you seen her put her daughter first? Every single time, Booker said without hesitation. Every decision Odessa makes is about Zara. What's best for her, what keeps her safe, what makes her happy. Including, he paused. Including asking me to stay away for the last 6 weeks because she was afraid our relationship might hurt Zara's chances in this custody hearing. Odessa's breath caught. She pushed you away? Sandra asked. Yes. Because protecting Zara matters more to her than anything. More than money, more than help, more than. He looked at Odessa again. More than love. And did you respect that request? Absolutely. I haven't contacted her in 6 weeks. Haven't seen Zara. Haven't done anything that might complicate this hearing. His jaw tightened. Even though it's been the worst 6 weeks of my life. Why are you here today, Mr. Whitlock? Because she asked me to be. And because that little girl deserves to stay with her mother, the woman who sacrificed everything for her, who works herself to exhaustion, who fixes broken bikes and bathroom sinks and believes she has to do everything alone because asking for help means weakness. Booker's voice strengthened. Odessa Whitmore is the strongest person I know. And the best mother I've ever seen. And if this court takes Zara away from her, it would be a miscarriage of justice. Objection. Marcus's lawyer shouted. The witness is making arguments, not providing testimony. Sustained. But Judge Rivera was looking at Booker with an unreadable expression. Step down, Mr. Whitlock. Judge Rivera called for a 30-minute recess. Then she wanted to speak with Zara in chambers. Odessa paced the hallway, her heart racing. Booker stood by the windows, hands in his pockets, watching the street below. She walked over to him. Thank you, she said quietly. For what you said in there. It was the truth. I'm sorry. For pushing you away. For being so scared that I don't. He turned to face her. Don't apologize for protecting your daughter. I get it, Odessa. I hate it, but I get it. I should have trusted you. Trusted us. You trust what life has taught you to trust. His smile was sad. And life taught you that people leave. You didn't leave. I pushed you away for 6 weeks, and you didn't leave. I told you I wouldn't. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I'm not him. Not your ex, not your father, God rest him. I'm just a man who fell in love with a woman and her daughter and wants to spend the rest of his life proving he's worth the risk. Odessa's eyes filled. I love you. I should have said it before. I should have. Ms. Whitmore? The bailiff appeared. Judge wants to see you and Mr. Whitmore in chambers now. Her stomach dropped. Marcus too? No ma'am. Just you two. And your daughter. Judge Rivera's chambers were warm, books lining the walls, photos of her own family on the desk. Zara sat in a leather chair that swallowed her small frame, but she sat up straight, brave. Zara wrote me a letter, the judge said, holding up the folded paper. I've read it 3 times. And I've reviewed all the evidence, the home evaluation, and spoken with this young lady about her life. Odessa couldn't breathe. Mr. Marcus Whitmore has been largely absent from his daughter's life for 4 years, Judge Rivera continued. His petition for custody appears motivated by ego rather than genuine concern for his child's welfare. His allegations about Ms. Whitmore's relationship are unfounded. Mr. Whitlock's testimony made clear that this is a genuine relationship, not a financial arrangement. Hope bloomed in Odessa's chest. However, the judge said, and Odessa's heart stopped. I am concerned about stability. Ms. Whitmore, you've been through significant financial hardship. You were nearly evicted. You're working freelance with inconsistent income. Your Honor, I'm working on. Let me finish. Judge Rivera's expression softened. I'm concerned. But I'm also impressed. You've kept your daughter fed, clothed, housed, and happy despite extraordinary circumstances. You've maintained her education, her health, her emotional well-being. The home evaluation was glowing. Your daughter clearly adores you. She looked at Zara. And this young lady told me, very seriously, that you're her best friend. That you read to her every night. That you make her lunches with notes that say she's smart and brave. Zara nodded solemnly. Judge Rivera turned to Booker. Mr. Whitlock, you understand that getting involved with a single mother means getting involved with her child? Yes, Your Honor. And you're prepared for that responsibility? More than prepared. I'm hoping for it. He glanced at Odessa. If she'll have me. Zara, the judge said. Do you like Mr. Booker? Yes, ma'am. He's really nice. And he makes Mama happy. Does he treat you well? He listens when I talk about butterflies. And he doesn't get mad when I ask lots of questions. And he told me once that I'm smart like my mama, and brave like my mama, and if I keep being myself I'm going to change the world. Zara's voice was clear and certain. I want him to stay. Judge Rivera was quiet for a long moment. Petition for custody modification is denied, she said finally. Primary custody remains with Ms. Odessa Whitmore. Mr. Marcus Whitmore's visitation will remain as previously established, every other weekend, assuming he actually exercises it. Odessa's knees went weak. Booker's hand found her back, steadying her. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you, Your Honor. Don't thank me. Thank that little girl who wrote a letter that made me cry during my lunch break. The judge smiled. And Ms. Whitmore? Accept help when it's offered with love. There's no shame in it. She looked at Booker. And Mr. Whitlock? If you're going to be part of this child's life, be all in. No half measures. Yes, Your Honor, Booker said. All in. I promise. Outside the courthouse, Odessa held Zara while Naomi cheered and Sandra packed up her files and the September sun shone bright and warm over Charleston. Marcus had left through a side door, his lawyer already talking about appeals that would never materialize. Booker stood a few feet away, giving them space, but Zara pulled free and ran to him. We won, she shouted. I get to stay with Mama. He scooped her up, spun her around. I heard. That's the best news ever. And the judge said you could stay too. If you want to. Oh, I want to. He looked at Odessa over Zara's head. If your mama wants me to. Odessa walked over, this man who'd waited, who'd respected her boundaries, who'd loved them both even when she'd been too scared to accept it. I want you to stay, she said. For today. For tomorrow. For as long as you'll have us. How about forever? Booker set Zara down, took both of Odessa's hands. How about I take you both home, make dinner, read Zara her bedtime story, and then spend the rest of my life proving that love doesn't have to end? That some people stay? That sounds perfect. He kissed her there on the courthouse steps, soft and sweet and full of promise. Zara cheered. Naomi Wolf whistled. And Odessa felt something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. Loved. Home. 6 months later, April 2025. The cherry blossoms were blooming along the Battery, turning the waterfront promenade into a pink and white wonderland. Odessa adjusted her camera settings, trying to capture the way the late afternoon sun filtered through the petals. "How's this?" Booker asked. He stood under one of the trees, Zara on his shoulders, both of them grinning at the camera. "Perfect," Odessa said, snapping the shot. "Okay, Zara Bear, your turn to take some pictures." She handed her daughter the smaller camera, a birthday present from Booker last month, when Zara had turned 8. Professional grade, but sized for small hands. Zara was already showing her grandfather's eye for composition. "Mama, you and Mr. Booker stand together," Zara ordered, suddenly all business. Booker wrapped his arm around Odessa's waist, pulled her close. They'd been officially living together for 2 months now. Booker's penthouse overlooking Charleston Harbor, big enough for all of them, with a room for Zara that she'd decorated with butterflies and books, and a photography studio for Odessa that made her cry when he'd revealed it. Her business was thriving. Real clients, real work, real income. The loan was paid off. She'd insisted, even though Booker had offered to forgive it. "Some things you needed to do for yourself." "Closer," Zara called. "You're supposed to look in love." "We are in love," Booker said, but he pulled Odessa closer anyway. "Then show it." He kissed her, right there under the cherry blossoms, and Odessa heard the camera click repeatedly. "Got it," Zara announced. "That one's going in the wedding album." Odessa pulled back. "Wedding album?" Zara looked at Booker. "Oops. Was I not supposed to say that yet?" Booker laughed, shook his head. "I had a whole plan. Dinner at Magnolia Plantation, the place where we had our first date. Fireworks over the Ashley River. Very romantic. But," Odessa's heart was racing. "But this moment right here feels more perfect than any plan." He reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet box. "Odessa Whitmore, you taught me that broken things can be fixed. That asking for help is strength, not weakness. That love is worth the risk, even when it's terrifying." He opened the box. The ring was perfect, a sapphire the color of Charleston Harbor, surrounded by small diamonds. "You and Zara are my home," he continued. "My purpose. My everything. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving that some people stay. That I stay." He smiled. "Will you marry me?" Odessa looked at this man, 37 years old, impossibly patient, who'd waited while she learned to trust again. Who loved her daughter like his own. Who'd turned her broken heart into his forever home. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, absolutely yes." He slid the ring on her finger, kissed her while Zara cheered and the cherry blossoms drifted down like snow and the whole city seemed to celebrate with them. "Group hug," Zara demanded, launching herself at them. They stood there under the trees, the three of them tangled together, and Odessa felt it, the absolute certainty that this was real. That metamorphosis was possible. That broken things, with patience and love and courage, could become something more beautiful than they'd ever been whole. "I love you," Booker murmured against her hair. "Both of you. Forever." "Forever," Odessa echoed. And for the first time in years, since her father died, since her marriage ended, since life taught her that happiness was temporary, she believed it. Some people stayed. Some love lasted. And some stories, against all odds, got their happy ending. Epilogue, October 2025. The wedding was small, just family and close friends on the lawn at Magnolia Plantation, where Spanish moss draped from ancient oaks and the Ashley River flowed past like a blessing. Odessa wore her mother's wedding dress, altered to fit. Zara was the flower girl, taking her job very seriously. Naomi stood as maid of honor, crying through her mascara. Sully was Booker's best man, grinning like he'd won a bet. And Mama Pat, 65 years old now, Odessa's mother who'd held them together through the hardest years, walked Odessa down the aisle, whispering, "Your daddy would be so proud." Booker waited under an arch covered in white roses and jasmine, looking at her like she was every dream he'd ever had. The officiant talked about love and commitment and partnership. About two people choosing each other, every day, even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves. "I promise to let you help me," Odessa said, her voice steady. "To trust that your love is real. To stop waiting for you to leave, because I finally understand, you're here to stay." "I promise to earn that trust every day," Booker said. "To love Zara as my own. To build a life where broken things are treasured, not hidden. To be your partner, your home, your forever." They kissed as husband and wife while their daughter cheered and their friends clapped and the October sun set over Charleston in shades of gold and rose. At the reception, Booker danced with Zara first, 8 years old and twirling in her purple dress, giggling when he dipped her dramatically. Then he pulled Odessa into his arms, and they swayed to music that sounded like happiness felt. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For not giving up. For waiting. For seeing me when I couldn't see myself." "Thank you for taking the risk," he said. For letting me in. For choosing love even when you were terrified. She kissed him, this man who'd turned her life around, who'd shown her that accepting help wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. That love didn't always end. That some people meant it when they said forever. Later, when the music slowed and the guests were dancing and the fireflies started appearing like tiny stars, Zara came over and took both their hands. "We're a family now," she announced. "Official and everything." "Official and everything," Booker agreed. "Forever and always," Odessa added. They stood there together, a family built from broken pieces, held together with love and patience and the courage to trust again, and watched the Charleston sky fill with stars. Odessa had lost faith once. Had forgotten how to hope. Had believed her story was over before it really began. But the billionaire with the kind eyes and the patient heart had turned her broken pieces into something beautiful. Had turned her broken heart into his forever home. And she had done the same for him. The end. Thought balloon question for you. Have you ever had to choose between love and protecting someone you care about? How did it turn out? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might inspire our next video. Did Odessa and Booker's love story touch your heart? You're not alone. If this story made you believe in second chances and real love, please like this video. It helps us create more beautiful love stories for you. Comment below. Tell us your favorite moment. Was it the courthouse scene? The proposal under the cherry blossoms? When Zara wrote her letter to the judge? We read every single comment and love hearing from you. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Don't miss our next emotional romance story. We post new 60-minute love stories every week. Share with someone who believes in love, second chances, or just needs a good cry and a happy ending today. Thank you for spending the last hour with Odessa, Booker, and Zara. May you find the courage to accept help when it's offered with love, and may you always believe that broken things can become beautiful again. See you in the next story.